everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome back to Casual Conversation with G&A. I'm Gloria.
I'm Eileen.
And
I'm
today we
Anthony.
have Anthony, from Unidentified-S4. So I just want to say hi to some people in the chat. Let's go up top. Nightmare. Hi, Nightmare. Nightmare's awesome. And we have Donnie
My
Cho,
boy.
James, My Flock, Elena. Hi, welcome.
Hey, Elena.
And then I think that's what we have so far. Oh,
Go
Gosh
Sh-
Hawk. Hi. First Floor Audio.
Hey, what's up, Lee?
Miss Sue. Hi, Miss Sue. I get excited. Hi, Wig. Okay. So I've been wanting to have you come on our show because I think you're awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan. I'm a fan for sure.
Appreciate that.
So let's get started. Let's talk about a little bit about what your show is about and what you like, what you're into as far as, I guess paranormal in a way.
Yeah, so primarily I started out with the whole UFO thing because back in '93, I had a really pronounced experience when I was 13, where I saw two craft when I was dirt bike riding in the woods. These craft came into the woods. Well, it started off as one triangular craft floated into the woods that I noticed. And when these craft got close enough to me, it had stopped maybe about a football field away from me, about 100 yards away from me, but low, maybe under 900 feet in the air. And that one craft was sitting in the sky, and I'm looking up underneath this thing, and it looked like a sheet of black glass. I mean, it was like mesmerizing just staring at it. And that one object had another one parked on top of it that you couldn't see. And after a few moments, it just floated off the top, and they sat like side by side next to each other, and they started to like slowly spin around each other. So now I'm a 13-year-old kid standing, looking, staring up at this thing in total shock. And then, a couple of weird things started to happen. I lost all sound in my ears. I didn't hear no cars, no birds, none of my friends that were dirt bike riding in the woods with me. There was like 30 of us in there that day. It's like everything went silent, and it was just me and the objects. Shortly after that, I kind of came to as the objects were lifting up, back up into the sky, straight up, really fast. And when I came to, my hearing started to come back, and I heard my parents screaming for me. And it turns out they were looking for me for like over 5 hours. They couldn't find me in the woods. And they said they walked past the spot that I was in so many times. They walked the trail back and forth that they would have definitely passed me if I was there. And they told me that I wasn't there. Nobody was there. There was no track. They didn't hear me riding. They asked all my friends. Nobody seen me. And I had told my parents the story. I said as a kid, I told my dad, I think this stealth bomber was hovering in the woods, and I was watching the stealth bomber hovering. He's like, this stealth bomber doesn't hover. Are you crazy? He's like, get your motorcycle on. He thought that I stood out all day and never came back. And he's like, you panicked your mom. We thought you had an accident. So I went home, and it wasn't until like many years later when the Phoenix lights happened. And I can physically explain to them I seen an object like that. And that's how my interest got piqued in the whole UFO game. And from like after high school, after I graduated in '99 on, I really got into the whole UFO thing. And then when Facebook started getting big, I started doing Facebook groups and channels on Facebook for the UFO stuff. And then I decided, to take a dive into YouTube, and that's been good for me so far. And that's where I'm at. So right now I'm just like a UFO. I'm an ex-cop, and I study ufology. I go out in the field and I film all strange stuff, UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, you name it. I'm into it all. But because that I had that experience, I really enjoyed the UFOs big time, trying to figure it out.
That's a pretty intense experience.
Yeah.
Like, so you think you were abducted?
I do. I think something. I mean, I have no memory of what happened. All I know is I was staring at the craft. But where did 5 hours go?
Yeah.
Right. So have you ever thought about doing like the regression?
Hypnosis?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People tried to talk me into that so many times. I just won't do it because you don't know if they're planting things in your head or you're going to get false memories. I don't want to make it worse than it already is. It's hard enough to remember, what happened as is. I don't need somebody else screwing that up even more. It's frustrating
Wow.
enough as it is not
So
being
was
able to
that
remember.
your only experience or have you had
No, no. Since then, I've had like I chalk a lot of this stuff up to because we're so immersed in the subject, and
right?
I'm out in the field filming all the time, and I'm always on somebody's channel talking about it all the time, and watching movies and studying this all the time. But I've had an experience where I was taken onto an actual craft, and they dragged me down a hallway. I was like, kind of felt like you see in the movies when they put the chloroform rag over your face and
Mhm.
they knock you out. And I had these two beings, one on each side, holding my arms, and my knees were bent, and they're dragging me down a hallway. And I kept like nodding out and coming to, and I see all these like curved doorways, and finally we get to one, and they drag me and they put me on a table, and I wake up on this table, and I wasn't tied down or anything, but I could not move off the table. Kind of felt like I was magnetized to it in a way.
What?
And a
Wow.
big thin drill bit came out of the wall. This machine came out and it went through my shoulder, and they were drilling through my shoulder, and I smelt my skin burning, and I heard the drill, and I smelt the smoke, and it was really intense. I was freaking out, and that was like the worst experience I've ever had in my life. But then again, I don't chalk that up to an actual abduction because I didn't bring anything physical home. I can't prove that, so I chalk that up more to the dream, like a really intense
Mhm.
dream. But
And
people
you
say
didn't
I'm
have
nuts.
any
They're like, you were abducted. Well, see, the
right.
strange thing about that is I had this shoulder replaced a couple of years ago, and I have a whole bunch of scars on this shoulder from having it replaced. In the morning that I woke up after having that, I got like a whole bunch of little scars from where they made the incisions for my shoulder, like put it
Mhm.
back together. And one of the incision marks was like beet red. So I don't know if I was picking that in my sleep, it was itchy or what. But when I woke up the next morning, I was in pain in that exact area where that mark is. And I mean, it was beet red. Uh, but it didn't look like anything happened aside from it being beet red. And I woke
Right.
up on the couch that morning. I must have fell asleep watching TV, and my wife came down, and she looked right at me as she was coming down the stairs, and she's like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, I don't feel good, man. I really don't feel good. And I told her what happened. And about 8 minutes after that, I jump off the couch. I run to the bathroom, and I had to throw my guts up because I was so freaked out that that happened, and my shoulder was in so much pain that I literally threw up from that. I think I really freaked myself out because it felt really real to me. Like, do you ever have a
Right.
dream that you swore was real when you woke up and it really freaked you out? Well, that's how that experience was for me. So I don't know if I'm being screwed around with, if something really happened to me when I was a kid
That's
and I was taken when that experience happened, and maybe
mhm.
they take me from time to time. I don't know. I don't know how none of that stuff works. I only hear the stories like everybody else hears myself. But
Yeah. And
if I ever
maybe
get
like
my
they're
hands on one of them, I'm gonna choke them
because
out.
yeah, because I've heard that they say that once you've been taken one time, they
Yeah, it's it.
keep visiting, right? But you don't
Yeah, yeah.
remember, or maybe you do remember in some instances, depending on how bad the experience was. Do you feel like some of them are? Did you feel that it was something evil? Did you feel
They
that
were
it was
horrible.
just
These
really?
beings that took look, I had like 3 experiences already throughout my life.
Uh-huh.
These little beings were just evil people. They were evil beings. They were not nice at all. It's like they were very robotic, no facial expression, nothing. They're very like animatronic, like they no expression. They didn't hear me talking. They didn't hear nothing. They had a job to do, and they were going to do what they were assigned to do, and that was it. Nothing was stopping them. And they were tiny, and I'm a big guy. I'm 5'9". I'm like 230 pounds. I'm a big guy, and these little tiny beings, like one on
Like
each side,
four
is
feet?
dragging me down a hallway. They were small, maybe like 3.5 feet. They were tiny, these little
Wow.
guys, and they had heart-shaped heads. Like their head looked like a heart. Like I had a guy, Chris Holm. He did a whole artist rendition for me on my show, and he really nailed it. I could send it to you, text. I don't know if you'd be able to show it, but he really nailed the whole aspect of it. Like he brought it right to home, so
Wow.
much so that when I seen it, it like
Mhm.
brought back a
Brought
whole bunch
back
of
the
memories that
memory.
really freaked me out because he and I were talking for weeks, and he was like, I'm gonna do this and do that. And he would send me one drawing. I'm like, the doorway wasn't square, it was oval. And then he sent me another one. And he didn't stop until he got it like down to a science. And he nailed it. Here we go. So
That's
I'll
crazy.
text you this one. I hope you can show it.
So what was the third experience?
I had one other time where I had fallen asleep on my couch after watching shows all night. And it was right in the time, right before I bought this house, before I was moving. And these beings, these tall, beautiful beings, walk right through my wall in the house. I know this sounds so fucking crazy, but
That's crazy.
they walked through my wall to where my couch was. And they woke me up off the couch, took me by the hand, and we walked through the wall. And we walked through the wall. We were on their planet, but I was in this clear dome. And they had these masks on their face inside the dome. I think now, after being able to think about it all this time, was because they couldn't breathe oxygen. So they put me on in a bubble on their planet so I can breathe the air on it. But they stood in this bubble with me, this clear dome with me. So I wouldn't be afraid, I don't think, because they were very friendly. I'm just texting you it now. They
Okay.
were very friendly, but they had these masks on, and I think now, after thinking about it, is because they couldn't breathe the air that I was breathing inside that dome, so they made it comfortable for me. And these beings were really tall. They had like a purplish, translucent blue skin, very beautiful, odd looking, but beautiful in their own right. They were very friendly, and they were trying to explain to me that being what I do as a ufologist, I have to make it my business. We have to make it our business not to bring nuclear weapons to the moon. And I know we hear that a lot because a lot of experiences that I've spoken to heard the
Mhm.
same scenario. So that was their whole thing, that we cannot bring any type of weaponry into space. And if we do, these other factions of extraterrestrials are going to basically storm Earth, and we're going to have to fight them if we do bring these weapons of mass destruction into space. Because when they go off on planet Earth, apparently, they destroy other realms, like other parallel dimensions get destroyed from it as well. And these other
Yeah.
factions so fed up with it just blowing things up and destroying their world when they do it, that if we bring anything into space, it's like game over. So they were trying to make that known to me, that under any circumstances necessary, I have to tell the world that, which I don't, because I chalk it up to another very vivid dream. But I've told some prominent people in the community,
Yeah.
like All and Michael Sherrod from the History Channel, and they're like, Anthony, I think you were really having abduction experiences, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds good to say, right? But look at it from my side as an ex-cop. People are like, this guy's out of his mind. This guy's a nut job if you start going around saying those things, right? So I just try to investigate it on how I can and see if I can get
Yeah.
more information from others.
How
And
you
if
were
they had,
trained. Yeah.
yeah,
And so the thing is too that your experience, the what you're um telling us about has happened to other people. I mean, they have
it
the
has,
same experience. They see the same thing. You know, these creatures look the same, no emotions. They
right?
no facial expressions whatsoever. So how is that not happening,
Yeah.
right? How is that? Is everybody having is it a phenomenon, or is it just, I mean, to me, it seems like it's happening to
Mhm.
people and it's something real. I mean,
Yeah,
because,
look, I mean, I've had the experiences myself, right? But working in law enforcement, there's people that lie through their teeth just to get attention too. And those people are really good at what they do, and we see it in this community all the time. That's why I take a lot of other stories with a grain of salt. You know what I'm saying? If I didn't
yeah.
put my hands on it, I didn't witness it myself, I'll listen to your story and I'll write it down, and I'll make a log of it. But I can't accept it 100% because I didn't witness it. There's no
Mm-hmm.
evidence. There's nothing for
Mm-hmm.
me to physically, tangibly see and touch and put my hands on. And that's for any scientist. If you can't put your hands on it to research, you can't prove it. So that's just where I'm at with it.
That's
Maybe as
crazy.
time goes by, something else will happen that'll really like shake me up even more, and I'll just be like totally immersed into it. But I just can't take everybody's word on everything. Unfortunately, it's just how
Yeah.
I am.
And so the message that you got from them was basically they don't want any of these weapons.
No nuclear weapons in space whatsoever. And they
And
were
that's never
explaining to me,
happened, has it?
what's that?
Have they ever
No, I
taken
don't
any
think so.
weapons up there
We
or
tried.
tried?
Ronald Reagan tried with the Star Wars program to bring nuclear weapons in
Really?
space. Russia did as well. But we heard that they tried. We heard that they were gonna do that. But who knows what they have up there? You know, they got all these
Right.
things that they're going back and forth all the time out to space. We don't know what they bring. It's not like we have a commission that goes up there to check what they're doing, right? There's no checks and balances for these things. If the
Mm-mm.
government's checking themselves, so they could put anything down on paper and say it's not there, right? How are we gonna know? Me and you can't get on a space shuttle and go investigate, right, in space, so we'll never know. So it's not until we can do that that we'll know.
Yeah.
That's how I look
And
at
somebody
that.
wrote something about makes me wonder if what happened in Mars might be the retaliation from the nukes.
Funny story about Mars. They're saying now that Mars was wiped out by a nuclear blast because there's only one way the ground can turn the way it turned on Mars into like that. I forget what they call it. After a nuclear bomb hits dirt and sand, it turns into this special mineral that you only find after a nuclear blast from the minerals that were in the nuclear bomb itself. And the
Mm-hmm.
whole surface of Mars is that material. So
Right.
scientists, they just one of the rovers dug in a couple days ago, and they're under the impression that A, there was life on Mars before, and B, that it was definitely wiped out by some sort of nuclear blast. So those are the two new hypotheses going on right now in science
So
within the
what
past week or so.
and what about the
On
moon? Do you think there was something
a lot of
there?
stories about the moon. They say the moon was dragged here from elsewhere, and it's a tesseract, and the moon's hollow, and there's all those stories, right? The only thing I
Yeah.
know about the moon was the Apollo missions. Something had crashed onto the moon back then, and it rang like a bell for a couple of hours, indicating that the moon was hollow. So if the moon is
Mm-hmm.
truly hollow, I mean, what does that mean for us? I mean, that's crazy. Because you go back in history, back to biblical times, and the moon wasn't even in the sky back then. So I mean, how the hell was that? Was it
What?
really
I
dragged here
didn't know
by
that.
somebody else? Remember Star Wars? They had that big Death Star that was like the size of a planet. These civilizations, billions of years more advanced than us. So who's to say what they can and can't do? We don't know what their technology is, right? So who's to say if
No.
they really built a moon to look like a planet and parked it here for some situation that's going to happen in the future? We don't know, but it'd be cool if it was. I'll tell you that.
What about so what do you think is the reason that they come here? Like, do you have
Yeah.
any maybe like thoughts on
Yeah,
it
that
or
was my question too. Like
Yeah.
what are your thoughts as to why they wanted to choose you?
that's true.
There's
That's another
no
good
Yeah.
one.
There's no rhyme or reason why they choose me or they choose everyone else. It's the same as if why do we choose a cattle and tag it or a shark in the ocean and tag it and track it? Same thing. They come here and they look at us probably just like cattle. Pick him, pick her, track this one, track that one. It's whoever they get their hands on first, right place, right time type thing. I don't think there's any special
Mm.
rhyme or reason to it why it happens at
That
all.
would make sense why they would you would have like similar experience, right? Like over like your lifetime, right?
That they keep
Yeah.
abducting you to
Yeah,
kind of
sure.
see how
Yeah.
you're yeah. And the other
Yeah.
thing, I mean, there's so many things that I've heard when it comes to them as far as like some of them can be good, some of them are good, some of them are bad. Sometimes there's been instances where people claim they've been healed by aliens.
Well, take
What are
Travis
they?
Walton. Take Travis
Mm-hmm.
Walton, for example. You familiar with him?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, so he got hit in the woods by that beam of light. It
Mm-hmm.
was alleged that that beam of light tore him in half. The beings that took him away the first time were like an evil race of beings that hit him with that beam. Then, when he's in that room and he's swinging that pipe at those beings, and other beings walk in that look more human and take him out
Mm-hmm.
and bring him elsewhere that he follows, and then he wakes up and he's all put together again. He thinks that other beings that were nice met him on that ship, took him out and put him back together, and then brought him home when he was healed. He thinks he met two different factions of aliens when that
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. I remember
So,
that, but I didn't know
yeah.
that he was cut in half. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, he was all
Which,
torn up. Yeah, he was all torn up. When you hear him speak, he tells a story. He was all messed up. His body was all screwed up. And then they took him out, brought him to another craft, and he believes they put him back together and healed him. Those other beings.
that's
So
crazy. Yeah,
that's
because
if
he
you look
talked
at it
about
that way. Oh yeah, if you look at
yeah,
it
the
that way,
two.
I agree. There's good and bad in everything. I've seen them myself, good ones and bad ones. But that's in everything. That's just in
Yeah.
life. That's got to be the same deal in the universe, right? That's how I look at it.
So, do you think that they're after something that we have here on Earth that they want?
I think they've been here forever. I think they live
Yeah.
in the earth. I think they live under the ocean. I think they live in parallel dimensions. I think they live on other solar systems. I think they're just factions of them spread out all over the place. Maybe, some of them, their planets were ending or their star was getting ready to die and they just ended up here. And they couldn't live on our atmosphere. So maybe they went inner earth to live because the conditions were just a little more hospitable to them in the earth or under the
Mhm.
water. Maybe they need certain type of pressure on top of them to live, like fish. Maybe they got to breathe water. Who knows? So I
Mhm.
think they're all over these beings. Um, Admiral Byrd back in the 40s went to Antarctica, and he said that this is a four-star admiral for the Navy, and he said that they brought him in to inner Earth in Alaska to what they call Argothia, and he was down there with a couple of his men, and there was flying cars, and down there had its own sun, and they had their own animals, and these beings were gigantic, and they were very intelligent. And then after they had their meeting, they let him go. Now that's a four-star admiral telling you
That's
that from the
crazy.
40s, late 40s, early 50s,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
People didn't lie back then about stories like that,
No.
especially the four-star admiral. Those guys were so clean cut and God bless America, soldier boys, you know what I mean? It wasn't about that back then, but he had an experience that he thought was truly legit, and he wanted to tell the world, and the military tried to silence him. And we hear stories like that throughout our history too, right? Phil Schneider building the deep underground military bases, whether it's true or not, his story still lies there that they had an attack on the Dulce base, right? And aliens
Mhm.
blew his fingers off and tore his arm apart, and people died. And we hear all these stories. You heard walking with the tall whites out at the
Yeah.
military base. A lot of these stories, funny thing is, a lot of these stories accumulate around military bases where aliens are staying. That's another odd part, too. Then you had Bob Lazar talking about Area 51 S4, that
Yeah,
he's
and
seen the
that's
craft
my other
down there.
question that I was gonna
Yeah.
Yeah.
ask you about. What do you think about his story?
Yeah.
Well, Jim Goodall has become a pretty good friend of mine over the past year and a half, 2 years now. And Jim knows Bob very well. They're good friends. And Bob swears that his story is legitimate. He had his personal
Yeah.
Jim Goodall had Bob Lazar's personal pay stub in his pocket. And when Jim was at the Pentagon, he went to go try to find the office, the Department of the Navy, where that pay stub for Bob came from.
Mhm.
And he walked into an office just trying to locate the office on the pay stub. And he comes into a Lieutenant JG, which is a junior grade lieutenant for the Navy, and Jim was in the Air Force. And he goes, "Do you know where this office is?" The lieutenant takes the pay stub from Jim, says, "Stay right here a minute." He walks into a two-star admiral's office, which is a general for the Navy. The general says, "You could come in now," brings him in and takes that pay stub from Jim, puts it in a shredder, and says, "You were never here. We never seen this. It never happened. Now get out." So, I mean, why would an admiral look at Bob Lazar's pay stub and throw it in a
Yeah.
shredder? And this did not happen. We hear about this again. You mean a world of shit type thing. You know what I mean? And I mean, Jim Goodall is a very, very credible man. Very credible man. And I
Yeah.
believe him. But I don't get me wrong. Then you got Jeremy Corbell following Bob Lazar around like a puppy dog. I do not believe him. I do not believe Jeremy Corbell as far as you could throw him, or Luis Elizondo. I don't believe either one of them. I think they're both in
Really?
the UFO dollars. Oh yeah, we know now that Lou Elizondo didn't even work for that program. He wasn't no director for that ATIP
Well, and
program.
now he's
Bullshit.
according to,
He's
what's
walking that
with
back
him,
now.
he's back, right? Like, he's back in there.
No.
Um,
He's walking back his statement now. He's trying to say that he
no.
never said that he was director and all this stuff. He's trying to walk it back now.
Oh.
Trying to change the
But
story now.
yeah, because he was on SOR, the last I think that was the last interview, I don't know. And he said that he was getting back into the government. So he was gonna go back to work and he couldn't really talk anymore. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, at least
I don't believe a
you know,
word he says. Like, from day one, I don't believe a word that guy says. And I know there's people
but
that follow him around like he's Christ, but I just don't believe anything he says when it comes to the
I
UFO.
believe Bob Lazar. I feel like his
Oh yeah,
story is real. He doesn't seem like he's a trying to get money. He just seems like he was trying to get it out there and then he regretted it because of everything
well,
that happened to him.
yeah, yeah. He took
And
people out, and they actually witnessed these craft go up in the sky
Exactly.
and do maneuvers
And
on the
things
day and time he said it was going to happen. 3 times he did that.
exactly. And
So,
the
I
things
mean,
that he was saying back then are things that are actually just coming out, right?
right,
Like with
like
the
element
mini the
115,
right, and the
you know,
black holes and like the
right.
so it
The
just
bone
and
density
then
scan,
and
all that shit's
the
real that
check
he talked
stub,
about back then.
right?
What's that? The pay
The
stub,
checks
yeah,
yeah, so if he was people now in military, like if this happened now, then they know who he is, they know what's going on, and they've
right,
been briefed on it. If you ever get anybody coming and asking, you know what you need to do. So that's
right.
just I just don't understand why. I mean, they've already came out and said that there is UFOs,
Oh, yeah.
um, UAPs, whatever they want to call them
That's
now.
just the
And so,
military's jargon for it. Unidentified area phenomena is just their term for it, you know?
yeah,
They try to make it
and
as confusing as they can for everybody, the military, with shit, just leave it as UFO. It's been that forever, just leave it as
and
that.
that's
There's
how
no need to
everybody
put
knows
another
it.
label on it, right.
But now that they're coming out with little by little, they're trickling information here and there. And so how where does that leave people that have said this whole time this is what's going on, you know?
Well, that's the "I
Um,
told you so" moment, right? That's when you
yeah,
could turn around and say,
exactly.
"Ah, I told you so."
How
I
do you
mean,
not believe them now when they've been
right.
saying it for so long? So, I mean, his story is amazing. I think he has a very interesting story, and then the way he talks about the crafts, um, that especially the one he worked with, that I
The sport model, yeah.
it makes sense. It makes sense because, like you
Mhm.
said, there's the ones that you encountered were like
Yeah.
3 feet. That's what he
Yeah.
said. The
Yeah,
seat.
and that's what I thought of too. I thought of like his spacecraft he was working with, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I just and was so basically the way he uh described the craft. Is that what you feel that you saw? Was it the same thing or was it a different kind of
No,
model?
I seen a TR-3B, like a triangular
Oh, the
type craft.
triangular one.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's when I was 13, that's what I seen. I have a model of it here I could pull up here. My friend Ron made me a really perfect model of it.
Let me see that.
So my buddy Ron from Cosmic Neighbors made
Oh
it for me so
wow.
I can have it. I mean, that's exactly what it looked like, you
Wow.
know? The only difference is the under part of it. If you cut out a triangular piece of black frosted glass, that's what the under part would look like. And the other craft that was on top of this craft sat like perfectly on top of it, and then it just floated off and over, and they sat, side by side. But these things, are amazing. And I think our government reproduced these. I think we have them like it's the Astra Project, the TR-3B. There's a couple different Aurora. There's a few different names for this now. I think our military got our hands on one, and they made one like a electrogravitic type one that goes on like high energy pulse wave type technology, because it's been
Wow.
seen both. Uh, so you could tell when one's military and one's extraterrestrial, because the military ones are a lot of nuts and bolts and rivets and things like that, and the ones that are extraterrestrial, they're completely seamless. They're like injection molded out. There's no seams, there's no rivets, there's no nothing.
Mhm.
And the
Wow.
military ones kind of look like how you would put a plane together in sections. So you could tell the difference between the two.
And what about the cigar-shaped ones? Have you ever seen those?
I filmed a cigar shaped one not too long ago, and
Really?
the night after that, I filmed. Let me see if I got it here on this computer. And the night after that, I filmed an orb in the sky doing a U-turn, which was pretty cool. I hit this orb with a laser, and it makes the U-turn in the sky and turns around. So that was pretty mind blowing to see that.
I'm gonna see if I can share the pictures. I don't know if I'm yeah, I think for us, I think we've only encountered one UFO.
Yeah.
You have seen one then.
I think that's what it
Yeah,
was.
we think that is what it
So
was.
Because
click.
but it was more okay, go ahead.
Can you click that video I
Oh
put
yeah,
on the bottom?
there you
So
go.
I hit that with my laser pointer. Now that's going up in the sky right now. That orb, you see it going straight up, and then it just turns around and drops straight back down. So satellites don't do that. So that object was going straight up, hit it with the laser, it makes a U-turn, comes straight back down. So that's totally unexplained how that can happen.
Wow.
And I see these things, these orbs of light over the beach where I live, because I live right on the beach, all the time. All the time. More than I like to see them. Very odd. And then they just fly off into nowhere. Sometimes they're very
That's
bright and big and they dim out, just like, satellites, same thing. But these objects, you see all the different colors on them. They're really, really weird. Then one night I had a cigar fly right over the house that I was able to film. I'm trying to find that one for you. That one's really cool.
I wonder if I can. I don't know how to.
Those are very detailed pictures.
Do I have to remove that?
Oh, I think I have to. Let me see.
I gotcha.
Oh, you got it.
I think if I put it up, I got to remove it. It disappeared, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm trying to see if I can show this picture that you sent me. Oh, right here. I can download it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There it goes.
Actually, you could probably pull the video up off my channel if you want to show it with the cigar. I'll tell you what it's called. Let me just find it. If you want to show it, it's up to you.
I'm trying to find the picture, but I think I got it.
Yeah, Chris Holm did a dynamite job illustrating these for me. I mean, he nailed it down to a science.
I think there was a question here.
I think Bigfoot, Sasquatch. I think they're from Earth. I don't think they're from another planet. I think they're another form of like an offshoot of Gigantopithecus that we had back many hundreds of years ago, which was like the giant great ape. So I think Bigfoot's just an offshoot of that. Yeah, so that's me getting the rod put through my shoulder as they holding me down on the round table. I mean, he nailed it. See, their heads are like heart shaped. But I mean, no facial expression on these things at all. I mean, when you move your eyes around, your eyebrows move around and stuff. They didn't even do that. I mean, it was so weird.
And did they have like any hair, or is it just any like clothing on?
They had like a thin filament over their body, which was like a bluish greenish color over their body. See the color on the background of my logo, that teal color? Almost like that, but more in the blue realm. But it was like paper thin, like if they had a surgical glove type material wrapped around their whole body, like a latex.
That's scary. That's so scary.
That is.
It is, man.
Because the one that we saw was more of like, it was just like an orb. But it was really big. And it was like shooting stuff like out of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Where was that? What state? Cali?
Yeah, it was in Los Angeles. I filmed it. I caught it on film.
Shooting out of it?
Yeah, it almost seemed to me like it was like lightning bolts, right?
Yeah.
Like shooting and it was above the houses. And I remember
your description, I think you may have seen one of the man-made craft that look, because hearing sparks come out of it, these man-made one, they run on a device called electrogravitic technology. It's kind of like big giant Tesla coils built inside of it. A lot of sparks, a lot of high energy coming out of it. Sometimes you hear like a high humming noise come out of it. Those are the ones that are made. So that's possible you've seen one that we have that we reconstructed to look like one of theirs. Yeah, the hallway, the floor was oval. The doorways were oval. I mean, everything in this place is oval. And I describe it as, it kind of looked like the same way you would make like Tupperware. You know, do you ever see Tupperware get made on a YouTube video? It's like injection molded. Like everything comes out in one form. There's no sharp edges. Everything's rounded and it's all built at the same time. That's how their craft looked. Like their table was all molded to the floor. Their counters were all molded to the floor. the archways, and everything was all molded to each other. You know what I mean? Nothing could come apart. No doors open and close. None of that. Very weird.
Crazy.
No computer systems I didn't see in there. None of that stuff. Odd.
Nothing.
Nothing.
That's crazy.
No soda
That's great.
cans.
So,
Like no
but
drinks.
were
Like
these the tall ones or the short ones?
they're the short ones. That's just how he drew it. I mean, I'm on my knees in that picture. So if I guess if I stood up in that picture, I'd be a lot taller than them. But yeah, well, that's on night vision. That's on night vision, Donnie. I don't know how
Oh,
lasers would look on a regular camera. I use night vision for everything or FLIR. Yeah, Skinwalker Ranch
yeah.
is a crazy place.
Yeah, definitely. We've
I don't know if you know how
researched
to
that
pull up
too.
videos from other channels, but there's one on mine. It says Cigar UFO Staten Island. I filmed
Let
a
me see.
cigar craft that flew over my house, which was
What's
pretty
his
cool.
channel? Oh, it's right here.
I think it's like 10 videos down. You don't have to show it. It's there if you want to look at it another time. It's entirely up to you.
Yeah, I'm no, this is good because I'm practicing on how to show
I
stuff
haven't
on.
I haven't figured out how to do all this stuff on StreamYard yet myself. I'm just learning
Oh,
how to do it.
okay.
I'm the furthest thing from a techie guy.
Is it the falling? No.
It says cigar object over SINY.
Okay.
It's a couple videos down.
Yeah, because it's on.
Let me pull it up. I'll show you what it looks like so you can see if you see it.
Large meteor.
See that one right there with my logo?
Oh, let me see.
Oh,
Cigar
okay.
UFO. Okay.
See the picture next to it with my logo?
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
That's what you're looking for with the stars and stuff. It's a green picture. Bob Lazar's above it.
Yeah, because the way it looks on here, it's kind of.
Like
Oh,
that
right
one.
here, we found it.
Yeah, Bob Lazar. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
There's commercials. Yeah, so we're gonna try to share it and see if it'll let us. Because I've never shared videos on here, but it'll be cool too.
Oh, that's right. There's freaking commercials. I forgot that.
There's another. That's so funny. Look, it's a UFO commercial.
I know
Oh
they
no,
put
this
weird.
is. I think this is
They
it.
put Gaia TV on there and shit for us. It's crazy what they do. They think like everybody that watches our channel wants to see like old UFO commercials and
Oh, I
stuff.
see it. Okay. Let me share it. That way. Is it this one, you think? Let's try it.
Yeah.
Let me know
let's
if you
see.
can see it, because. Oh, wow. Can you guys see it?
Yep,
Okay.
there it goes.
Look.
Now that's in
That's
slow
so-
motion. So that thing was, that thing was booking
It looks like it's super fast.
very fast.
Look at it.
Wow.
It's
Does
probably
it
right
do
there.
a weird, like,
Yeah,
turn?
it changed. It dips down, and as it dips down, it looks like it changes its shape because it changes direction.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So it like comes down and back up a little bit.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Huh.
And
That's
it
so
was so
cool.
weird because like I tell everybody I get like this feeling sometimes. Like I'd be sitting on my couch and I'm like, oh my God. I tell my girl, yo, I gotta run outside, something's gonna happen. And I go outside with the camera and I'm filming for like 5 minutes and like boom, I'll film something. And she's like, man, she's like, how the fuck you do that? She's like, you do that shit all the time. And that night I was getting she's like, you're possessed or something, you're crazy. So one night I was outside, I was out there like all night from like 9 at night to like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm wrapping all my cameras up and my battery is red. It's like gonna die any second. And I break it down and then I put it back in my hand. I'm like, fuck, I gotta watch this guy for like 2 more minutes. And I just, as I'm bringing the camera up and I get it to my eye, it's there in the sky. And I just followed it. And right after I followed it, camera died. That was like the last, like
Oh.
No
15,
way.
20 seconds I had with the camera. And right after I finished panning with it, camera died. It was like it was totally meant to be to catch that. It was crazy.
That's crazy. Do you think that you've been implanted?
No,
Have you
I
ever?
don't think so, but, I don't wanna lie and say, "No, I don't have nothing in me." I've had plenty of MRIs, but,
Uh-huh.
they never said, like, "We you got this weird anomaly here or there." I've never seen anything. I woke up once with a scoop mark on my arm. I still have it.
Mhm.
I have a scoop mark right here, like, if I
Oh,
move it
yeah,
over
we
you
can see it.
you know?
Yeah.
But
Oh,
there's
wow.
nothing in it, so I don't know if they took skin or what, but I know I went to bed that night and it wasn't there, and I woke up and it was there, and it was completely healed
Wow.
over. So I
That's
have no
scary.
idea how something like that can happen unless it's like, a 10-foot tall mosquito came in here and got me to make a mark like that. But I have no idea.
Was it, like, swollen the next day when you woke up, or how did
No,
you?
no, I shaved my arms because I was
Uh-huh.
like, always I was a bodybuilder before I got hurt, right? So I would always shave my arms. So just force a habit, get up, take a shower. You got to shave your arms. If you shave your arms, you're shaving your whole life, right? And when I got over it with the razor, the hair was still there, because it was deep. It's deep. Like the
Mhm.
razor went right over it. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I seen it and I was like, Jesus Christ, I never seen that before. And I shaved my arms like 4 times a week. So I would have definitely noticed something like that happen, but never seen it before.
Wow.
In 41 years, I never noticed that. So
So would you want to, because you've had these experiences of lost time and possible abductions. Is that something that you're afraid of? Is it something that you're like, oh, I don't want it to ever happen again? Or would you,
I'm not afraid of
does it?
I'm not afraid of anything, to be honest, and I'm not being a tough guy, and I'm just not afraid of anything. So if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. There's nothing you could do about it, right? So when you're there, you
Yes.
either try to fight or do whatever you got to do if you have to, or if it's pleasant, you just go along with you. Look at it this way: it's an experience that if you have it, it's something that not many people have had. So if you have it, you're part of that club. It's like getting struck by lightning or winning the lotto, right? So I say if it happens, just go with it and take the experience for what it is, good or bad. You
That's
know,
scary. I don't think I want to experience something like that ever. Don't take me. But I don't know. I mean, sometimes I feel like they kind of choose, or they kind of,
yeah, I think it's totally random. You
you
know,
think so?
totally. Yeah, I think it's totally random.
I'll be
They
like,
just pick the right time.
if you're gonna heal me, then go ahead. But if it's gonna be horrific, no, I'm good.
Well,
That's
that's another
scary.
thing that pisses me off that you just brought that up. Like, if their technology is so advanced and they're
Hmm.
coming here and doing all these things to people, and it's like, if you have advanced technology, why not cure cancer while you're here, right? Why
Right?
not get
Yeah.
rid of the pollution crisis? Why not fix the ozone layer, right? Why not fix the food crisis? Why not tell us how to solve land displacement for deforestation and when forests are burning, how to solve the crisis in California with drought. Like, give us the answers to that shit. Don't just fly over and put implants in us and freak us out. Give us some answers to things. Help us out if you're going to come
I'm
here,
just
right?
thinking about I'm just thinking about the animals that they probably think the same thing about us.
Right. They probably look at us like we look at ants,
They're
like we
like,
told
why are they just putting stuff in our ears, like chips and like killing us to eat and things like that? I don't know.
it's
It's
crazy.
scary. I want to get what? I would want to get abducted as long as the aliens are sexy aliens.
Yeah,
Well, I
me
mean,
too,
the one
Devin.
that Travis Walton saw, one of them was a woman, right? There was a woman
A
and
man and a woman, yeah.
uh-huh.
He described them like the Palladian type looking. They look very human, but they didn't speak. They didn't speak vocally. It was telepathically. He thought they were speaking to them, and when they realized that Travis couldn't speak telepathically, they're like, "Oh, this guy's a stupid human. So let's just help him." Like one of those
Uh,
type deals. So that's how he sees it. But
just my opinion. Let's see what's to say. Cancer is lab made and who inhibits
oh yeah,
something.
absolutely, man. All
Yeah.
that shit came from labs and pollution and all. That's where all that came from. Staten Island, where I live, has got one of the highest cancer rates because we had two landfills on our island for the longest time, and the island's only like 13 miles long by 8 miles wide, and you're living on a dump. Then we found out the park where the kids play up the block, they used to dump toxic waste in the
Oh
goddamn park.
no.
I mean, like 80% of Staten Island people have cancer. I mean, it's fact. It's like one of the
Really?
highest
Oh,
populated places for cancer. So
that's
the
so
government
scary.
did all that shit. the chemicals we have in our water that we drink, fluoride and all these other chemicals to keep the
Mm-hmm.
pollution out that they polluted us with. But the same shit that they put in there to try to make it better for us messes up, even more. So it's terrible. Don't get me started with
That's
that stuff.
that's scary. Yeah, and I
Drink
mean,
bottled
yeah.
water. That's all I drink. I would
Drink
take a bath
bottle
maybe on if I could.
spring water,
Yeah,
preferably.
just drink water.
Um, I wanted to ask you because you mentioned you lived in Staten Island,
Mhm.
but I did wanted to talk a little bit about. I know that you were there when 9/11 happened,
Yeah.
and I kind of wanted to ask you about that because I mean, it was very impactful, and I feel like it's just something that kind of impacted us as kids. You know, we
Mhm.
we were young when this happened, and
How
watching
old
the
were you when
videos.
9/11 happened?
Man, I was in seventh grade.
Okay.
What grade were you in? You were in kinder?
Yeah.
She was like in
Mhm.
kinder. But it's
Probably
something
scary
that's like
at that age, right?
yeah, because I remember, we were in school, the teacher turned
Mhm.
on the TV. She's
Yeah.
like, something's happening. And we were so scared. We were thinking, oh no, the world's ending. Like, what are we gonna
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did
do?
we. Yeah.
So how was that? What were you doing that day?
I was home getting ready to go into work. Actually, I was getting
Because
ready
you
to
were
go to
in the
yeah. I was in
police.
the academy when that had
Okay.
happened, and they graduated us 6 months early when that had happened. And when I got down to the police department, I mean, the whole department was empty. We were jumping into our own personal vehicles to get down there. I'll never forget jumping in the back of a tow truck that the police department used to tow jet skis with, like the river rescue team
Hmm.
truck was all that was left, and we took it. And there was like 8 of us in the bed of this truck going through the
Wow.
tunnel. And as we went through the tunnel and we get there, and you looking up at the deficit, only one plane was in the building when we got through the tunnel. And then we got there and we lined up on Vesey Street where the Verizon building is off Broadway. And then shortly after the second plane went into the building, because first we only had thought that it was an accident, because that's not the first time small plane or whatever hit a building or a helicopter in Manhattan. It happened a few times, so we just thought it was a really bad accident. And then the second
Hmm.
plane hit, and then after the second plane hit, shortly after, then the Pentagon, and then Pennsylvania, and then we thought it was like it was not World War II, World War III again.
Right.
You know? And I'll never forget, we had to wait all day to get on the pile. I mean, it wasn't until like 6, 7 o'clock at night we were able to get on the pile on the backside. And the unit that I was on, we had to rappel from the ground down into the parking structures underneath the towers to see if anybody made it underground to the parking garages. So, like, they lowered us down by rope, and I had to
Yeah.
weasel through all this intertwined steel, and it was like burning hot down there. Then when we got down to the parking structures, which was a few stories underground, you couldn't see anything, so because the smoke and the flames and the heat, and it was terrible. And it was so hot, tires from the cars were melting to the to the garage floor. I mean, it was bad. So back then we had the old batons, the old nightsticks, and I remember just bashing out a bunch of car windows to turn the headlights on so we could see. And I remember just screaming and yelling, "Is anybody down here?" And that felt like it went on forever. And then as we're making our way back out the way we came in, the face of Building 7 collapsed over the entry point where we went underground. So then we were
Oh,
trapped under there for like another 3.5 hours. So they dug out a hole for us to get out. Thank God we all lived. 7 and 6, those buildings weren't too big. So it was just like the granite face had slid off over the pile where we went in, and we were trapped under there. I mean, there's no way out. All the
no
stairwells,
way.
there was nothing left. I mean, you maybe walk up 6 or 7 stairs and then nothing's there. The floor above you collapsed. I mean, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. I
That's
seen
yeah.
horrific things. Just the sheer impact of so the Tower 1 and Tower 2 are what got hit, but just the sheer impact of the
Of
the
the
flood,
building.
and then those two towers coming down warped all the surrounding areas. The buildings around the surrounding areas got warped and damaged so bad that eventually they just started giving away and they would just drop. And that's what
That's
happened to 7 and
crazy.
6. Yeah. The Century 21 building is still twisted to this day. And then you had Deutsche Bank, had that big fire that had damage. So it was crazy.
Yeah, definition.
Talk
That's
about
definition
that's
of a hero.
comment before that. Talk about the what? Talk about
Oh,
the heat.
the heat.
We'll talk about their shoes, soles melting. Oh yeah,
Wow.
I mean, well, we wore boots, but like you know how your work boots are like waffled on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Walking on the steel on the pile was so hot. It was like it would melt like slime as you were walking across there. I mean, you would literally see your black boot prints melting to the beams. But I mean, I didn't give a fuck if I was gonna melt or what. We had guys in there and people to get out,
Yeah.
and that's my main concern. I'll never forget a couple days into the rescue efforts. We had a like an air raid siren system set up. Like if a building was going to collapse, if they thought a
Mm-hmm.
building would collapse, they let this air raid siren go off, and that was for all the workers to run off the pile. And I remember the siren goes off, and we're running off the pile, and a woman falls running off the pile. And I'm not saying this hero or nothing. It's just me. It's just my experience how I did it. As everybody ran off, I ran back on, and I grabbed her and I held her like a baby because she broke her leg. And I'm carrying her out like in my arms like this. And she got her
Mm-hmm.
arms around my neck and she's crying. She's like, "You saved me. Thank you so much." I'm like, "Nobody gets left behind here, sweetheart." And she was like
Aw.
really trying and really she's like, "I can't believe you came back for me." I was like, "I never leave anybody behind." And I'm talking to them, trying to keep her calm because her femur was through her skin. And I'm like, "Everything's gonna be all right, sweetheart. Don't worry." I tied a
Oh,
scarf around your leg, you're gonna be all right. And she's like, I'm
yeah.
like, "Who do you work for?" And she's like, "I'm an FBI agent, and my, our team's on the other side." I'm like, "You're an FBI agent. You fool. You're better trained than us. You should be embarrassed." I was trying to make her laugh. And cracking up
Oh,
laughing. I'm trying to get her off and get her to the ambulance. She's like, "He saved my life." And I'm like, "I didn't save your life, honey. I just came back for you." And that was nice. I still talk to her to this day, that FBI
oh,
agent.
that's
She's
so
retired now, but we still
sweet.
talk to this day. Yeah. But a lot of things
Ugh.
like that happened on the pile. It was
Yeah.
terrible because all the firemen that died, we lost 343 firefighters. And I always tell it like, they used to wear these devices on their equipment called a pass alarm, PASS. And if you don't move for more than like 30 seconds, it beeps like dee 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 dee. And they're tiny, they're like as big as this remote control, and they sit like usually like right here. And that's
Mm-hmm.
all you heard was silence. After the buildings came down, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face, and all you heard was the alarms. And we knew that that was all dead firefighters that went down.
Oh no.
I mean, until the batteries died on those systems, just imagine hearing that
Yeah.
nonstop, and you're trying to get in your. It's just one mess of twisted concrete and steel on top of the next, and I mean that's why every time we pulled you know, a hero out, a fireman, a cop, a rescue worker, we all would line up and carry his body out in a long line, and we would clap and we would all salute because we were honoring the fallen. We got you. We got you out. You might not be alive, but we're still going to return you to your family. That's how we looked at it. I went to more funerals, uh, probably than I ever want to go to again. I don't even want to go to funerals anymore. Like if a family member or something dies, I'm like so fucked up and traumatized from that. I never want to go to
Mm-hmm.
a funeral ever again. Like I really have to push myself to go to a wake.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, really, I that really messed me up. I had nightmares for the longest time. Just talking about it for many years, I used to just break down and cry. I want to cry right now, but I'm fighting it back. Believe me when I tell you. I mean,
Yeah,
I feel
definitely. It
more
makes me
guilt.
emotional.
I feel
Um,
more guilt than anything that I couldn't get people out. I mean, that fucking eats me up every day because I mean, I would have 100% gave my life to try to rescue anyone. Anyone. I don't care
but
if you were a
you
cop.
did, and that's
No, but I mean,
I
I would have
yeah,
jumped through molten steel to get somebody out if they would have let me.
yeah.
You know, believe me
And
when I
then
tell
not
you,
only that, but like the people that were jumping, like that
Yeah.
was
that
so,
was the
so sad.
worst experience ever because when we got there, they tried to make us go into the tower one. They tried to make us go into the lobby to tell security everybody out. We were taking turns doing that, and there's a long catwalk, like an awning, like a long clear awning catwalk that goes to the building, and all you heard was as you were walking through that awning into the building. There was people hitting from jumping. I mean, it was the worst. It's the
It's
worst thing
horrible.
anybody could go
Yeah,
through,
like just
especially being
and
so
to think
young.
that was like people that did this, right? Like these men that had I don't know what, I don't know. I don't even know.
Doesn't matter
and
what
they,
race they are, what religion they
yeah,
are.
like,
That has nothing to do with any of that. Doesn't matter if you're Muslim, Catholic, Christian, black, white, gay, straight. None of that shit matters. The people that did this were fucking animals. They were worse than
yeah,
animals.
like I was
They were
thinking
the
about that.
lowest
Like
of
it's
low.
in human nature to not, do things like that to other humans, and just to be able to like just can't even comprehend what these people were thinking or doing,
Yeah.
and then it's just, I don't know, it's so horrible, horrible, horrible,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of
Yeah,
people
not
that,
to mention the people on the planes.
yeah,
Could
that,
you
and you can
imagine?
even,
Can you imagine
no,
what they went through? I mean, trying to fight these guys off. Yeah, I mean, just imagine the sheer terror. Not knowing if they have a bomb on there with them, or if they snuck a gun,
yeah,
or God only knows what these people were thinking up there. That's why today, thank God, we have air marshals up there, and you don't know who they are. They could be sitting anywhere on the plane, and the pilot has a gun today. Thank God we have all that in place today, so these
oh,
things can
that's
never
cool, I
happen
didn't know
again.
about that. Did you know
Wow.
about
Yeah,
that?
oh yeah,
That's
yeah. Every
good.
flight you go on, there's an undercover air marshal, and the pilot has a gun too. Yeah,
Oh, that's
every
good,
single
yeah.
flight. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he said, oh, wait. I went to the
Oh,
army
what's up, Mike?
to
That's my
war
boy,
over
Mike.
9/11.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm grateful, and I'm so thankful that you served, and we appreciate that, and that
Love
you
you, Mike.
helped
That's my good buddy
rescue his,
right there, Long Island Bigfoot.
yeah, he's a big footer.
He's one of the best Bigfooters out there. You got to follow his stuff. It's crazy.
Really?
Oh
I don't
man,
know if I'm gonna have to check it out. Maybe I do follow, no, I don't think I do. I'm gonna have to
Long
follow
Island
him because,
Bigfoot's the man. And First
hi,
Floor Audio's
Blues.
got some of the best music you'll ever hear. Sorry, I don't know blue
Blues and
and
G
G.
music.
I'm not familiar
Yeah,
with
he
that.
he
He's
also
probably
makes his
great
own
too.
stuff, and he has amazing, amazing music too.
Oh, really? You got to come hang out Saturday nights on First Floor Audio, the channel right there with Lee, man. You would get along
Right
great,
here,
man.
Blues.
Yeah, live piano, guitar music, rock music every Saturday, man. He's awesome, man. Lee's got a voice like a
Yeah.
ninja. He made my Unidentified S4 song.
Oh, really?
First Floor Audio.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
he's
have
a
to check
legend,
all
man.
them out.
He was a legend.
Well, yeah, because 'cause I'm seeing a lot of your followers in here, so I
Oh, there's
really
Eric. What's
appreciate
up there? Paranormal Highway. That's my boy right there. We do a show together in the
yeah, he's
morning.
here. Yeah, his cartoons are awesome too.
Yeah, I play Bigfoot in the cartoon.
Rothian. I don't know where Rothian is. I haven't seen him in my channel yet. But that's crazy. Oh, no, that's so sad.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but
Yeah.
and so now they have memorials, right? So that they have like
Yeah, every year we have the memorial, and we every year since we had the beam of lights that go up, the two big columns of light that go
Mhm.
all the way up from the ground into space. You see them, and that's a
Really?
beautiful tribute. Every year it has to be done. That's sacred ground down there. That beautiful
Yeah.
waterfall they built down there. Me personally, I know it's a lot of real estate, but I would have never built again on that property. That's just me. Okay, how much money you lose? I mean, that's
Yeah.
holy. Thousands of people died there. To me, that's holy ground. I wouldn't have put anything back there myself, personally. But I
Yeah, I
mean,
would love to go over
for
there.
putting the one Freedom Tower up and the memorial fountains, which are gigantic with everybody's name, they did it with class. Building back, they really did it classy. It's really a beautiful site. I
So
mean,
how far is
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
no, okay.
No, how far are you from there, from New because Staten Island is separated from New York?
It's separated from all the boroughs. It's an island. I'm about 45 minutes away, if that.
Oh,
40
okay, that's
minutes,
not too
maybe
far,
not
yeah.
even. I mean, I look out my backyard, I could see Manhattan, so
That's
it's not
cool.
far.
I would love to go to New York. I've never been there. I've never been anywhere.
Yeah, they really did the site down there beautiful now. I mean, they
That's
really
awesome.
dressed that all up. Total class, how they rebuilt that. Very beautiful.
Yeah.
And I
Are
mean,
you
aside from working for law enforcement, I was in the union. I was a brick mason for the union since I'm a kid. And I actually worked on the new Freedom Tower Building 3, the new train station that's down there. I mean, I got to build all that back up. I got to work on all those job sites back there. So it was nice to, because my dad's a big union delegate. So it was nice to be able to work back on there and help rebuild it after everything else, you know. So that was cool doing that too.
That's awesome. Wow. I wanted to ask you, changing gears a little bit, because you said you do believe in cryptids. What kind
Oh
of
yeah,
cryptids? Well,
just
I'm
Bigfoot,
curious. Just Bigfoot.
just
Okay.
Bigfoot. Yeah.
So none of the like the Dog Man or none of
I mean,
that,
I'll listen to the stories, you
like the
know, and
Wendigos and the.
yeah, no,
He's like,
I
no,
mean,
I'm good.
I don't, you know, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Have you had any experience with any Bigfoot? Like, have you ever seen
once.
any or
No, I never seen
really?
it, but I actually recorded. I have it on TikTok. I was up in Pennsylvania and at a cabin on like 100 acres in my cabin, and it had a fire stove. Like you had to put logs in there for the fire for the stove, and a fireplace. So in the fall, it's freezing cold up there. I mean, it's cold here now in New York. It's like 50 degrees here, so that's cold now. You know,
Oh,
that
that
was
is
like a
cold.
shock. I had to run and find a sweater today. You know, but so I'm there. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. So I'm cutting wood really early because I woke up. I was ice cold, so I'm cutting wood, and all of a sudden I hear in the woods something scream on the top of its lungs, right? And you hear my axe chopping the wood, and then shortly after that, on the opposite side, it starts another one is screaming to the other one like, "Rah!" And I mean, you hear it clear as day. I don't know if you know how to pull up TikTok, but it's on my TikTok. It's the only one I have on there for Bigfoot. Yo, it
Hi.
was nuts. It
Let me see if
literally
I can pull
felt.
it up on my phone.
I was trying to explain it to Long Island Bigfoot. Like if you held a club speaker from a nightclub to your chest and had the bass all the way down and the vibration from that, that's how
Uh-huh.
loud its voice traveled through my body. So it must have been, these things must have been mad. There were no coyotes or nothing like that, man. These things were big. Whatever they were big. But I didn't see
I
them.
wanna find
I
it.
heard them. But I mean, I'm used to bears and mountain lions and all that shit. So there's none of
Okay.
that.
I'm trying to find it on your
Oh,
TikTok.
hold on, I'll tell you where it is. It's probably way
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, you have a few videos on there.
I know it says
Okay.
that you see like I think it says
If you
answer.
find it, can you play the audio?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
we
yeah.
can
That's
hear
what
it.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
do.
that's what I was trying to play the audio through my phone. Bigfoot has big lungs, big
Yeah.
lung vocals. That's
Whatever.
scary. I don't know if you're familiar with Missing 411.
Yeah, I was thinking
Oh,
about
true,
that
of course.
too.
Very interested in that.
So the hunted, the hunted,
Yeah.
where he shows you can hear those that
Yeah.
language, like those guys
Oh
that are
yeah,
up in the Sierras.
like that
And
gibberish
it
talk.
freaked. Yes,
Yeah.
I was like,
Yep,
that definitely sounds like
like
I'm
the
like, that is the
language.
like
creepiest.
language.
Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and they were talking amongst each other, and
It's
no
like blah, blah,
way.
blah, 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 blah. That's exactly what they sounded like talking,
Yes,
right? Like, it was like the
yes.
weirdest. But to think that they communicate with each other just like we do. I mean, it's not the same language, of course, but here it is. Did you hear it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you hear it scream?
that's scary.
Yeah,
That's scary.
Did it come through?
that's scary.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
That's
I'll
scary.
I'll
That's
drop
so
the link in
loud.
the
That
chat if you
is.
want to hear it properly. I'll throw the link in the chat so you can play it, so you can really hear it.
Wow. But that's the only time you've heard that?
Only time, yeah. Actually, Mike, Long Island Bigfoot, and I are looking to set something up. I'm gonna go out with him soon, and we're gonna go out into the wild, and we're gonna go look for Bigfoot. I'm dying to go with him because guy's got more luck than anybody I know when it comes to Sasquatching. So that's the dude I want to go out with right there, man.
Yeah, but you'll definitely go.
Oh, I'm going. There's not a doubt in my mind. I'm
Oh
going.
no,
100%.
man.
Yeah.
I don't think I can.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
just
punking that either.
see
Like if I see Bigfoot, I'm not running away. I'm running up to homie. Like we're gonna make friends. You're coming home with me as my
really?
pet. like a
Like you
Harry and
wouldn't be
Nancy.
like frozen.
Listen, I look at it like this. Maybe I'm talking a lot of game right now, right? But if you had that one opportunity to meet Bigfoot, would you want to take the chance or would you want to punk out? I don't know. I want to take the chance.
You know what? I am the type of person, I will listen to your stories. You can show me everything you want, but I do not want to have no experiences.
That's all right.
I mean, we've had our fair share of experiences with things, but not to that, not like UFO, like alien. No, I mean, except for that one we saw, that UFO. Um, I had dreams of aliens, and it
Now,
was a reoccurring dream.
do you
It was
think
the
it was?
same dream.
Do you think it was really happening to you, or do you think it was a dream?
You know what? I don't think I was abducted, because of the fact that the encounter that I was having in this dream, he was basically like outside my backyard, and he was trying to show me something. It was
Mhm.
always that dream that he was just standing there and pointing at something, showing me something. And then as soon as I would get close to it, I would wake up. And it was a reoccurring dream. And it was always the same thing. But I never, like, it stopped happening after we moved out of that house.
How old were you when that was happening?
Which was,
Just out of curiosity, were you young?
um, yeah, I was young.
Yeah,
I was
because that's
young.
when
I
they
was
say
like,
those experiences happen the most when you're young.
that's scary. I don't want to know.
But
But like,
that house
if
had a
people
lot of like,
if people told you that they thought that you really were having abduction experiences, would you accept that, or you would be like, nah, it was just a dream?
You know what? I think I would be okay. Like at this point, I would be like, all right, well, if it was, then it was. It
That's the
wouldn't
point
make a
I'm at right
difference.
now. Right, me
So,
too. That's where I'm at.
but the weird thing about the whole thing was that house had we had a lot of
yeah,
experiences
yeah,
in
a
that
lot of
house,
activity.
a lot of activity. And that same spot where I would see him, we had like pets, like bunnies and chickens and things like that were in a cage, like cages. And they all got mutilated.
Oh, no
Like
way.
weirdly. Yes. And which we talked about before, but they were all cut up in pieces. There was no blood, not a single drop of blood, but there was pieces of these animals like on the trees, like a mile
Oh my
away from the
god.
house. Yeah, like
In their
heads.
What part of
cages.
California was that
It
in?
was LA,
Los Angeles.
In
the
the
San Fernando
city
Valley,
or like in the
the
okay,
city.
in the
In the
valley.
valley.
In
Yeah.
the valley.
And
So
this is the same
I
house.
never been. Is that the city or is that more like country?
Where we're in now,
No.
or there?
Where this happened, was that more like
That was
in the
No, it
country
was a big
part
city.
or
It's a big city.
it's the
Yeah.
city?
It's
Okay.
not central LA. It's not like LA, but it's the outskirts. It's called the San Fernando Valley, which is pretty
Okay.
big.
pretty big.
And yeah, and that happened there. And
the UFO.
so we saw the UFO there. I had my dreams there, my reoccurring alien dreams, and the mutilations of our animals. All of them
Okay.
died. We had
Yeah.
like 10 bunnies. We had like, I don't know how, 15 chickens, and there was no blood.
Yeah, and they were in heavy cages
Oh, wow.
because my dad was
Stainless steel cages.
Yeah, my dad was a welder, so he custom made those cages. And
Wow. So
not
they were built to
easily-
last then. They weren't no shit cages
Oh
then.
yeah, I
Yeah,
couldn't
you probably-
open those cages.
Yeah.
And
You probably
so
built those with pride.
that was the weird thing. That was the whole like,
Yeah.
I thought it was so creepy and so weird that now to think about it and knowing what we know now, it's
Mhm.
like, okay, there was something there, something
Yeah.
visited. And for a long time, my dad would say it was a chupacabra. He's
Oh,
like,
I've heard about that before.
He came and visited, and he killed the animals, and
Could be.
so on and so forth. So I don't know.
But
I didn't
my
even think of
uncle
that when we were
saw
talking cryptids before. I didn't even think of the chupacabra. I believe in that one too.
Yeah.
Bigfoot and the chupacabra. Those are the two. Yeah. I definitely
But
believe
my
in that
uncle
one.
said it was like the little thing, right?
He-
that was
yeah,
running
my
around
uncle, because his window was facing
the
that,
backyard.
and he said it was like it turned. He said it was like a 2 foot creature, like a little 2 foot being, and he said that it
he's
was on
seen
it.
it.
Yeah, he saw
Yeah.
it, and he said that it took off. It like ran, and then it turned into a little like ball.
Like Sonic almost.
No
yeah, and
way.
then it just disappeared. Yeah.
No. I bet
For a-
your alien experience is real, man.
Oh no.
He's eating your friggin' pet. You better watch out. Better watch
Well,
out. You better leave
well,
Skittles out there for him.
uh, but you know what? I haven't had any dreams like that, thankfully. Again, which now we live in in like a country. It's like
Yeah.
what is it, like a
It's like,
farming land. So
Any
we
Bigfoot
haven't had a
sightings up there where you are now?
no. We're not too well. My dad is.
He's kind of close
My
to
dad
like,
works in the mountain in the Sierra in the
Oh, that's the
yeah,
spot.
Sequoia
Sequoia.
forest.
That's the
So
spot right there.
he's been working up there for years.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, sometimes it's creepy going out there.
Well, because where he works, it was a mining area. So
Okay.
he what he does see and hear is a lot of like voices, and he hears like he sees apparitions, things like that. But
Like they
not
call those like by the mines you're talking about?
yeah, yeah.
Like the Tommy knockers and stuff like that?
Hmm.
That's what they call the ghosts in the old mines, the Tommy knockers.
No, I don't know. That's scary.
So
I don't.
your whole family believes into the paranormal and all of that stuff then
Well,
too, yeah?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think because they've had so many encounters, right,
Yeah.
throughout their life that, yeah, they kind of.
And my dad's like a long-term, like he's always hunted his whole life. And
Okay.
so he kind of had I think he had a Bigfoot encounter and
Oh,
when
wow.
he was younger. And so he's the one that kind of put it in my head, and
Yeah.
that's how I got into it.
Oh, no
But
way.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
that's
his
cool.
stories
Yeah,
pretty
his
creepy
stories
too.
are the ones that were like, whoa.
Where a lady said her rabbits were drained of blood and still
Yeah, that's
warm.
exactly what I was thinking of, James. I've heard stories like that too. That's what made me think Bigfoot right away. That's why I asked
No,
if they
that's
lived in the country back over there.
no, yeah, that was something else, I think. I don't know. I hope I wasn't abducted.
Well, look at
I don't want
the cattle mutilations and things that, have happened where they would drain the blood and stuff like that. That was
to.
supposed to be
Yeah.
like all extraterrestrial stuff too. So who's to
Mhm.
say if that reoccurring dream you were having wasn't a dream, but it was like you going in and out of your own consciousness while you're asleep, witnessing that thing trying to call to you. And, he was just out there picking on your friggin' pets like they were snacks.
I think I would do regression therapy. I think I would. I'm not.
Yeah, you
I
trust that
mean, if
shit? I know.
does it scar
You get
you?
all my
Like I
bank
don't
account
know.
numbers and PIN codes from me while I'm under. What's your PIN code, Aunt? Yeah.
They're gonna put
Take
the blue
it all.
sock on me and put me
Take
in
it all.
that.
Mm.
I'm gonna go into like a crazy. I have. Oh yeah, he
Hey,
talked about
Cassie.
that, right? Yeah. Hi, oracles.
Do you follow Brown Dwarf?
Yes, I
Yeah,
want to
he's
get
got
him on my show. I want to get him on
I had
here
him on
because
mine. He's a legend. That
he's
guy
from
is
California
a legend,
too.
man. Yep. He's got
And
dynamite footage.
yeah, I follow his stuff too. He's awesome. I would want to get him on here. Hopefully he'll be willing.
Yeah,
But
he's a great
yeah,
guest. Great guest.
well, we've been going here an hour now. I don't know if you have other things to do, so I know it's late where you're at.
Yeah, it's like almost
Let's
9:30.
see. If you guys have any questions, write them in the chat, and we'll ask Anthony. But
Yes, write your questions in the chat and please send a check a money order to Unidentified-S4. Not like that.
send him Zale. He does Zale, and he does Apple
We have
Pay.
PayPal and we have Cash App. Send it on over.
Hypno regression. If I
Hypno.
find a professional. Oh, hypno. What is that? Is it different?
Hypnotic regression.
So
Just
where
to
they
abbreviate.
hypnotize you?
Yeah.
No, I see the
Watch the
hypnotizing
clock.
thing.
You
Yeah.
ever see that happen?
Yeah,
know?
no. My sister's been hypnotized before.
Did it
Candy?
work?
Not
Yeah.
her. The other one.
Oh.
Yeah, it worked.
Mhm.
It worked.
Yeah, I seen some videos of people that get hypnotized, and the guy's like, "You're gonna forget you have legs, and you're gonna fall." Did you ever see those videos?
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
lady
that's what
said,
they
he's like,
did
"All
to
right,
her.
now you forgot you had legs. Don't forget. You forget you have no legs now." And then she just falls over. She's like, "Oh my god, I have no legs." It's funny stuff when they do that, and it works. It's hysterical. I love
Yeah,
those
my
videos.
sister's done all that, and
That's
it's
great.
crazy. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
I bet.
She was
I
up
bet.
there acting crazy.
Like, what
I
happened? You
heard
just lost
that.
your voice. You can't talk no more. That stuff is so funny when they do that to
Yeah,
them.
that's crazy. So, well, I mean, I've appreciated your
Well,
stories.
that
They're
was a
really
pleasure.
interesting.
Thank you so much.
I'm
I'm
sure you
happy I
have
finally got
many,
on your
many
show.
more.
I have tons. Like we can go on for weeks, weeks.
So
Just
we
just like two just like 2 weeks ago, I was on the beach filming, and I think it was like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. It was very early in the morning, and it was pitch black on the beach. And I thought a guy was standing next to me to the right while I was filming. So I'm filming this guy with my night vision. I'm talking to this guy like, you come out here often. You ever see anything strange? I'm asking him while I'm looking at this guy. And the guy's not answering me. So I turn around. There's nobody there. And I know that I had a man standing next to me. That guy was right next to me, right? In order for him to get off the beach, he would have had to like either pass behind me and go back. There's only
Mhm.
one way in and one way out. So nobody was there, right? So then I'm talking to Eric from Paranormal Highway, and I'm like, I bet you that was the guy that died on the beach last year. And I was just at the right place, right time, and I seen his spirit or something because there was somebody there 100%. Then the other night, 2 nights ago, I'm on the beach and I'm filming and working, filming stuff. And I see all these cop helicopters and boats. Next thing, I got cops walking up to me like, buddy, you got to clear the beach. Everybody off the beach. It's a crime scene. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? I pulled out my badge. I'm like, bro, I'm on the job. I'm not going nowhere. I'm filming. And he's like, oh, all right, brother. He's like, go down another 100 yards. A body just washed up on the shore. So now
Wow.
a body floated in from Jersey. So now I was like, maybe tomorrow night I'll go bring my like recorder and my cameras and my FLIR and I'll set it up and I'll do like a ghost hunt over there. Like, what better place to do a ghost hunt than where like a body just washed up a day ago? You know what I mean? Maybe I'll get something. But the beach
That's
that I'm on
crazy.
is very active. There's an island
Really?
across from me. There's an island across from me that's federal park land. Nobody's allowed on this one stretch of land because it's like rip current, hazardous. It's closed down to the public. You can't fish on it. You can't go on it. That's it. And at night, I've been recording these weird lights that start appearing on the sand. Like it'll start off as one dim, then it gets super bright. Then, like all of a sudden, 5 or 6 of them turn on. Then another 8 or 9 go on, and then they go off. And then the trees light up and goes off. But you can't see it with your regular eyes. You can only see it through the night vision, which is even weirder.
What?
Wow.
So I started filming it, and I'm going to show everybody that on Sunday because I've been talking about it, and I finally caught it the
Uh-huh.
other night. So I'm going to
That's
show
so
everybody what that
cool.
looks like. Yeah, it's really wild.
So you've definitely had like ghostly experiences,
Oh
ghosts
yeah,
and
yeah. I had
apparitions
I had
and
the last condo before I bought this house, and I was in the condo. I had all these shadow people in that place. I seen shadow people, film them all the time. And Alina Ayanu, who was in the chat earlier, her and I are friends, and she lives in London, and she's got the same thing going on in her house with the shadow people.
it's
And we had her
scary.
on my show live, and one of the shadow people walked right in front of her camera while we were live on the air. And
And you
everybody
can
was like,
see
"Did
it.
you see that?" Yeah, clear as day. Clear as day.
Oh
And
no.
we were like, "Yo, Elaine, it's something." Yeah, we were rewinding it, showing her. She's like, "No way." I'm like, "Yeah, just walked in front of your camera." But that shit used to happen in my apartment all the time. All the time. All
And
the time.
is it something that scares you? Or
No, I'm
is
not
it like,
saying
yeah,
that. I'm really not afraid of anything.
that's good.
Wow.
That's
I
good.
think
Yeah.
I'm not saying it to be a tough guy, but when you work the streets and you work high crime area and you're dealing with scumbags with pulling guns and knives on you, your skin just gets really
Yeah.
thick when you're not afraid of anything anymore. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. That's crazy. Well, it's been nice to have you on. We appreciate it.
pleasure.
And
Been a pleasure.
um, everybody in the chat, thank you for coming and showing up. And we appreciate the love and
Yes, friend.
support. Don't
And to all
forget to
my friends
go.
that came, thank you. And make sure you
Yeah.
subscribe to these ladies because they're phenomenal.
Aw, thank you. Yeah. And all my friends subscribe to Unidentified S4 as well as, what was his name? The Bigfoot. Let me find
Oh,
him.
Long Island Bigfoot? Yeah,
Long
great chat.
Island Bigfoot and First Floor Audio.
First audio, dynamite.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
go subscribe to them too. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys, and thank you so much, Anthony, for
Pleasure.
being here,
Anytime.
and we appreciate everybody, and we'll see you next time. Hopefully, we'll have you back again.
Yeah,
sometime.
anytime. And you have an open invitation on my show. We always open it up on the
Awesome.
second half to anybody. You can hop up and anytime you want. Even if you just want to come on, say hi, shout your show out. You're
Yeah.
always welcome on anytime you want.
Yeah, we're always willing to go on other
Cool,
people's channels. So,
cool.
all right. Well, thank you guys and have a
Thank
good
you.
evening and
Good night,
have a good
everyone.
weekend, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.